Have you ever wondered who's really in charge? You or your mind? What if I told you that your thoughts, your fears, your impulses, they aren't really you, they're just noise. And if you don't learn to control that noise, it will control you. This video isn't just information, it's a silent blueprint, step-by-step guide to reclaim your mind, not through force, but through awareness. Because here's the truth. The strongest people in the world are not the loudest. They are the ones who have mastered the war inside their own head. So stay with me until the end. What you're about to discover could shift your entire reality. Welcome to Stillrise, a place where silence becomes power. And understanding your inner world is the first step to mastering the outer one. Today, you'll learn how to take control of the most powerful tool you'll ever possess, your mind. We'll go deep into why most people feel lost inside their own thoughts, and exactly how you can rise above that noise permanently. This isn't motivation, it's transformation, it's a problem statement. Why we lose control of our mind? Let's be honest, most of us aren't in control. We wake up to stress, scroll mindlessly, react without thinking, and overthink every decision. Our minds are like wild animals, restless, impulsive, and driven by fear or desire. Why? Because we were never taught how to train the mind. Think about it, we go to school to learn how to solve math problems, how to memorize dates in history, how to pass exams. But no one teaches us how to sit with ourselves, how to observe our thoughts, or how to respond instead of react. So the mind becomes a chaotic space, a battlefield. Here's the scary part. Most of your thoughts today are the same as yesterday. 90% of your behavior is driven by unconscious habits. And your brain is wired to focus more on threat than on peace. That's evolutionary. This means your default state isn't peace. It's fear, comparison, judgment, regret, and planning. No wonder you feel tired. Here's the most dangerous part. The mind left untrained becomes your master. And a mind that controls you is the greatest prison you'll ever live in. It's not the world outside that's your enemy. It's the war within. But the moment you see the mind clearly, everything begins to change. Because here's a secret most people never realize. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And when you understand that, you can finally begin to take back control. In the next section, we'll talk about one man who lived through war, power. Pain and still controlled his mind like a calm sea in the middle of a storm. His name was Marcus Aurelius. His story will show you that peace isn't the absence of chaos. It's the mastery of it. Example story of Marcus Aurelius and the art of inner control. He was the most powerful man in the world, yet he lived like a student of silence. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor from 161 to 180 AD, ruled an empire that stretched across continents. He commanded vast armies. He controlled the wealth of nations. But he also faced immense pressure, political betrayal, personal loss, war, and plague. The kind of pressure that would break most men. Yet in the quiet of night, while others slept, Marcus would sit alone, writing, reflecting, training his mind. He called his writings to himself. Today, we know them as meditations, one of the most powerful books ever written on self-mastery. Marcus didn't write for fame. He didn't publish for applause. He wrote to remind himself that in a world full of chaos, the real battle is always within. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This was a man who buried 8 children, who led Rome during a devastating plague that killed millions, who was betrayed by friends, threatened by enemies, and still showed up every day calm, rational, composed. How? Because Marcus understood a truth most of us miss. External events don't disturb us. It's our thoughts about them that do. He trained himself to observe his reactions, to question his impulses, to pause before acting. Where others raged, he breathed. Where others sought revenge, he practiced justice. Where others chased pleasure, he embraced discipline. He wasn't perfect, no one is. But he was present. He was aware. Wrote things like, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." These weren't just quotes, they were commands to himself. Imagine being the emperor of Rome and still questioning your own ego. That's humility. That's strength. Marcus practiced what we now call cognitive discipline. He would reflect on death daily, not to be sad, but to stay grounded. He would visualize loss, not to suffer, but to detach. He would remind himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He trained his mind to serve him, not the other way around. And through that, he achieved a rare kind of power. The power of inner stillness in a world on fire. If he could do it with the weight of an empire on his shoulders, so can you. You don't need a throne, you need awareness. You don't need an army, you need discipline. And in the next part, we'll explore the first silent enemy, your subconscious mind. Because if you want to control your thoughts, you must first understand who's actually thinking them. Reason 1, the subconscious mind is on autopilot. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and without thinking, your hand reaches for your phone. You scroll for 20 minutes. You check your messages. You compare yourself. You react. And you haven't even brushed your teeth yet. That's not conscious behavior. That's programming. This is your subconscious mind in action, running the show like a silent operating system in the background. Most people live their entire lives on autopilot, repeating the same thoughts, patterns, and reactions without ever realizing they're not choosing any of it. The subconscious mind is like a powerful river. If you don't redirect it, it will take you somewhere, but not where you want to go. Here's the truth. 95% of what you do, feel, and think today is the result of subconscious programming from your past. Childhood experiences, media, trauma, culture, they've written a silent script in your mind. And every day you're just playing out the lines. You're not lazy, you're looped. You're not broken, you're conditioned. You're not unfocused, you're untrained. Let's break it down. If you were constantly criticized as a child, your mind may now sabotage your confidence. If you witnessed anxiety growing up, your brain may default to fear, even when nothing's wrong. If you were rewarded for productivity, you may now panic when you're resting. These aren't flaws. These are patterns. But here's the good news. What was learned can be unlearned. What was programmed can be reprogrammed. But only if you see it. The first step is awareness. Start noticing your default settings. What do you think about when you're alone? What emotions rise when you're stressed? What beliefs are driving your self-talk? Because if you don't investigate your subconscious, it will keep choosing your relationships, your habits, your responses, and you'll call it fate. That's why real freedom begins not with action, but with inner observation. The subconscious mind isn't evil, it's efficient. It's just trying to protect you, based on outdated data. To change it, you don't need to fight it, you need to update it. In the next part, we'll talk about what happens when emotions, especially fear and anger, hijack your rational brain, and how to take back control in those very moments. Reason 2, emotional reactions hijack the brain. Imagine this. You're driving peacefully. Suddenly, someone cuts you off. In a second, you're furious. Now ask yourself, did you choose that anger? No, it happened automatically. That's what emotional hijacking is. The human brain has a survival mechanism built in the amygdala. It's there to protect us. But in modern life, it often backfires. It can't tell the difference between a real threat and a social media comment. So when someone rejects you, you feel like dying. When someone ignores you, you spiral. When you fail once, your mind says you're worthless. These emotional reactions are fast, they're strong, and they bypass your logical mind. Why? Because emotion comes first, reason comes second. This is why people say things they regret in anger, why they chase toxic love, why they panic in public speaking, even when they know it's safe. The emotional mind doesn't care about truth, it cares about survival. But here's the key. You are not your emotion. You are the one noticing the emotion. Every emotion is just energy, a signal, not a sentence. And if you can observe it, you can outgrow it. The problem is that we don't pause, become the emotion before we even notice it. But great minds throughout history practiced the opposite. They paused. They waited. They observed. They created space between stimulus and response. And in that space, they found freedom. You can too. In the next part, I'll show you the first solution. Observation without reaction. This is where transformation begins. Not with fighting your mind, but sitting with it. Stay tuned. Solution 1. Observation without reaction mindfulness. Imagine you are sitting by a river. The water flows, leaves float by. Some are ugly, some are beautiful, but you do not jump in. You watch. This is mindfulness. And this right here is the beginning of true power. Most people don't live this way. They are inside the river, drowning in thoughts, chasing every emotion, reacting to every trigger. They fight the current. They get swept away. But the masters, the calm ones, the ones who move through chaos without losing themselves, they have learned the art of observation. Observation without judgment. Observation without reaction. This is not detachment. It's clarity. When a thought arises, I'm not good enough. She doesn't love me. What if I fail? You don't argue with it. You don't suppress it. You don't believe it. You observe. There is a thought, that's all. This simple act creates space. And in that space is your freedom. Neuroscientists have confirmed. The brain physically changes with mindfulness. The amygdala shrinks. The prefrontal cortex strengthens. Emotional control increases. Anxiety drops. But beyond science, something deeper happens. You become the watcher, not the storm. You realize, I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness behind them. Once you understand that the mind loses its power over you, start small. 1 breath, 1 minute, 1 silent morning. Sit, watch, breathe, not to escape the world, but to return to yourself, because the world outside will never be silent. But you can be, and in that silence is strength. Solution 2. Daily mental discipline, meditation, journaling. Imagine the mind as a garden. Left wild and untended, weeds grow, choking the flowers of peace and clarity. But with daily care, the garden blooms. Great minds throughout history knew this secret, the power of daily mental discipline. Marcus Aurelius didn't only write his meditations when crisis struck. He made it a daily habit. Every morning he reflected. Every night he reviewed. This simple practice rewired his mind to focus on what mattered. Why does this matter to you? Because your mind changes like muscle. The thoughts you feed it, the habits you build, shape your inner landscape. Meditation is the gym for your mind. Sitting quietly, observing your breath, watching thoughts come and go, it strengthens the part of your brain that chooses calm over chaos. Studies show that daily meditation reduces stress, increases focus, and even rewires the brain's wiring for happiness. Journaling is like a mirror for your mind. Writing down your thoughts clarifies what's hidden beneath the surface. It helps you track patterns, release emotions, and plan your mental growth. Start small. 5 minutes of silent meditation in the morning, 10 minutes of journaling at night. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Over time, these small steps accumulate. Like drops of water, carving stone, daily mental discipline shapes your mind's power. If Marcus Aurelius, emperor of a vast empire, found strength in simple daily reflection, you can find it too. Remember, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Choose daily practices that paint your soul with peace, strength, and clarity. And as you build this discipline, your mind will no longer be a wild horse. It will become your trusted companion. Transformation story. The man who took back his mind. There was once a man who had lost everything. His name was Viktor Frankl, a doctor, a psychiatrist, and a prisoner. In 1942, the Nazis took him to a concentration camp. His parents were murdered. His wife was killed, his future erased. They stripped him of his clothes, his name, his dignity. He was given a number, thrown into darkness. But in that darkness, he discovered a light, a truth that most people never find in a lifetime. That even when everything is taken away, one thing still remains: the power to choose your response. Frankl wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one, its attitude in any given set of circumstances." While others broke under the weight of suffering, he observed. He watched how some men, even starving, gave away their last piece of bread. He saw that, in the worst conditions, some people still chose kindness. He realized our mind is the last battlefield, not the world, not the war, but the space between stimulus and response. He survived the camps. And when the war ended, he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. That book wasn't just about survival. It was about taking back control, about choosing meaning, even in pain, and it changed millions of lives. Now stop, reflect for a moment. You are not in a prison, but maybe your thoughts are. Trapped in the past, anxious about the future, running wild without direction. But you, like Viktor Frankl, have a choice. You can step into the space between what happens and how you react. That space is where your freedom lives. That space is where you take your mind back. Choose silence daily, so now it's in your hands. You've heard the stories. You've seen the battle. You've felt the chaos inside you. But more importantly, you've seen the way out. The mind cannot be silenced by force, but it can be mastered by stillness. Start with one breath, one moment of awareness, one choice not to react, and then do it again tomorrow, and again, and again. This is not a motivational video. This is your manual. To take your mind back from the noise, because the world is loud, but your power is silent. If you felt something shift inside you today, don't let it fade. Subscribe to Still Rise for more calm, truthful stories like this. Like this video if it helped you see things clearly. And comment below, I choose silence. Let the world know. Let yourself know that this is the day you began again. Not louder, but wiser. Not faster, but deeper. Not with fear, but with mastery. Your mind is not your enemy. It's your most powerful ally. Once you learn to lead it, and that begins now. Only in silence can you hear what truly matters. Still your mind, rise above. This is Still Rise.